She boarded the bus with a small suitcase, hopeful and smiling, a chance to work abroad, send money home. But the road she traveled wasn't taking her to opportunity. It was taking her into a trap. By the time she realized the truth, the doors were locked, the phones were gone, and her freedom was stolen. In 2017, Sarah, name change for protection, left Uganda with dreams of supporting her family and finishing university. She accepted a job offer with a recruitment agency promising domestic work in Jordan. Once she arrived, her passport was seized. She was forced to work endless hours without pay, and despite asking to return home, her employer refused, using the COVID-19 travel shutdown as an excuse. Sarah discovered she was trafficked, deprived of her wages, denied rest and freedom, prevented from contacting her family, and treated as property rather than a person. Through the small phone she managed to buy secretly, she reached a friend who connected her with a shelter. With the help of the Jordanian Women's Union and legal authorities, she escaped and eventually had her case recognized by the National Anti-Trafficking Unit. Sarah had escaped the house, but the traffickers were coming for her. Her freedom felt fragile. Could she stand up, speak out, survive the forces that still hunted her? The fight for her life had only just begun. Freedom didn't mean safety. The people who once owned her wanted silence, not justice. But Sarah had a voice now, and she was ready to use it. Sarah's escape was only the beginning. The shelter that took her and provided food, protection, and counseling. But outside those walls, her traffickers were searching for her. They had connections in a recruitment agency, the same one that had lured dozens of other girls from Uganda, Kenya, and Ethiopia with fake contracts. At first, Sarah was too afraid to speak. But one night, she overheard another survivor cry in the shelter, a 19-year-old named Amina, who had been beaten by her employer for asking for her wages. That night changed everything. Sarah told the shelter's lawyers everything she remembered: names, addresses, phone numbers, and the agency's documents. Her testimony helped the Jordanian authorities open a case under the 2019 anti-human trafficking law, leading to multiple arrests. But testifying came with a price. The traffickers threatened her family back home. Anonymous messages began flooding her social media. "You'll never make it back alive," one read. Still, Sarah refused to back down. Supported by NGOs and international organizations, she stood before a courtroom in Amman and told her story publicly. For herself, for Amina, and for the hundreds of other women still trapped. Her courage made headlines in local and international media. For the first time, the public heard what had been happening behind closed doors, how domestic workers were being trafficked under the guise of legal employment. But even after justice was served, Sarah couldn't sleep peacefully. Her traffickers were imprisoned, but the network was far bigger than she ever imagined. The fight for freedom wasn't over. Not yet. She had every reason to stay silent, but silence feeds the darkness. So she became the light for those still trapped in it. 2 years after her rescue, Sarah returned home, but she wasn't the same woman who had left. Her time in captivity had scarred her physically and emotionally, yet it also ignited something fierce within her. Instead of hiding from her past, she began working with anti-trafficking organizations in East Africa, educating young women about the dangers of fake job offers and illegal migration routes. She met victims rescued from the Gulf, the Middle East, and Europe, each story reminding her of the pain she once endured. Her advocacy reached the United Nations, where she was invited to share her story during the World Day Against Trafficking in Persons campaign. Sarah spoke to world leaders, reminding them that behind every number is a name, a voice, and a stolen dream. With her help, her country strengthened cooperation with foreign embassies to better protect domestic workers abroad. Her story even inspired short documentaries, podcasts, and community campaigns encouraging women to verify recruitment agencies before signing any contract. But Sarah's message was not just about pain, it was about resilience. Freedom, she said, is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of healing. Sarah's scars still remind her of the darkness she escaped, but they also remind her of her strength. And through her voice, thousands now know the truth about modern slavery. Because even in today's world, freedom still has a price. If Sarah's courage moved you, don't let her voice fade. Hit subscribe to Tales by Das. Share this story and keep the light of freedom burning.